I think we should go. I just need to do a couple of things real quick because I forgot that certain things would be in view on camera. So let me straighten those out real quick. That's good. You'll have to forgive me. I've spent basically the last day or two like um, catching up on sleep. Um, CEO was a lot of fun, but also kind of knocked me right the heck out when I got back. So, hi everybody, happy Wednesday. I hope the day was restful and or productive for y'all. Um, hey Petty, yeah. Um, where do I begin? 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 So, for people who aren't aware, let me start from the start. Anybody who happens to be new or has been here in a while, also before I forget, thank you so much, Squishy, for the 17-month resub. Deeply appreciate it. If we can get exclamation point hype in the channel, I would chat. Lord mercy, I would deeply appreciate it. I only took basically 2 streams off, and I'm already slipping on my own catchphrases. Zam, couldn't be me. Well, it could be me. It is me. I'm the one. I'm the problem. Anyway, for those of you who may have missed it, who may not have been to stream lately, who may not know what all happened, what is going on, nothing bad. But here's the deal. I was recently at a tournament called Community Effort Orlando, alongside the rest of the team from I got distracted by something for half a second. So yeah, CEO is a tournament called, with short for Community Effort Orlando, which is a fighting game tournament that takes place in Florida, in the Orlando area, normally. For a couple of years, it was over in Daytona. The general consensus is that there were things that were okay about Daytona, but that a lot of it was kind of really, really shit, if we're going to be honest about it. So, that said, though, CEO this year was at the Shingle Creek Hotel, which is basically like a stone's throw away from Universal Studios and a bunch of other stuff. We got sighted. I like to say we got scouted because it's basically true. There is a thing that the event usually runs. It's been called Jabali Land before, Jabali World this year, where basically it's an entire corner of the bring your own console setup, as well as some of the arcade machines that get set up in there. There's a whole corner basically where you get a bunch of indie games doing stuff. We were sort of scouted by the people that were organizing the indie games corner while we were at GDC, and they were like, hey, so did y'all know about this? We think you'd be a good fit. So we applied, we got in, and that's what we were at CEO for. This past week, which is why I didn't stream last Friday or last Sunday, because I was there. Got back on Monday and basically spent a good chunk of Tuesday taking me a nap a good chunk of Monday taking me a nap once I got back in, and then Tuesday, Tuesday being Tuesday, I used that to kind of get groceries, get back on my feet, and now we're here. We got a lot of feedback. We got a lot of feedback for Shoot Lancer, a lot of things to sort of consider in terms of like where our next steps are. This June has sort of been like what we are considering sort of our first real month of production in terms of like getting our feet under us and actually starting to like sit down and cook and get in on some things. So the basic plan is essentially today. I have a couple things to talk about in terms of what I'm working on, a couple things to show off in terms of what new things are going to make it into the new demo build that should be going up relatively soon. I would like to say what's the word I'm looking for? I lost the word. Right. There's a couple things that I wanted to prep for the update that's going out. I wanted to say ideally by the end of this week, because there's only a couple things I really wanted to like brush up on and then drop off for people to have. Hey, Stubby. And then we're going to kind of go from there. All right. So let me get over there. I'm going to finish programming the thing I intended to program, and then I'm going to do my best to not get too ahead of myself in certain aspects. Okay, so I didn't accidentally hit the launch button, did I? Yes, I did. Well, no, I just hit the build button instead. That's good. Still giving me it is impossible to reserve less capacity than this. Sometimes Godot gets these funny little phantom bugs that I don't know anything about. I don't know why they show up or what the reason is behind them doing what they do. It's very weird. So, one of the major things that has been included is that now the game has a local high score table. If you were at CEO by some chance, some of these things will seem a little familiar to you and some of them might not. Another thing that is a little bit less immediately obvious. Oh, did I not fix that? I didn't fix the original one. I'll have to do that in a minute. One of the major things that I was working on, basically the last day of CEO, coming back, was the chain scoring system. So basically speaking, a lot of other shmups have a system where getting continuous hits on enemies will help you continue to like get will help create some kind of like chain bonus, which is usually used as a factor in your score. Shoot Lancer finally has one of the same, and it occurs to me that I'm going to have to make a couple changes to the tutorial, not to explain it, but to help contextualize for people. Also, hi Cat Wizard. Help contextualize for people when they can expect to see it and how it works. So then I might as well do that now, actually, because let me see here. Game phase. State machine game. We're going to take this one and we need to copy the results state, and we need to move it over into the other state machine. That's potentially need to be a fill for my raid groups, but they didn't need me tonight. I'm also here to watch my favorite guy make a video game. Oh, shucks. Hi Yuna, how you doing? I'm wrecked. I'm wrecked. I'm ruined. I'm absolutely. Does getting through and or dodging shots affect your score? Hang on, I gotta change that description. Because that is a duplicate of. I can do that, but I need to change that right now because that description is not entirely accurate. I need to go to, what's the name of this thing? Nightbot. No, Stubby, it doesn't. I will say that there is something planned for managing to do a dodge, like perfect dodge a projectile. There is a thing planned for that, but it's not that. I'm not going to tell y'all what it is yet because it's a spoiler, but there is something that's intended for that. It was a piece of feedback that we got from before CEO, but no, your score chain is only affected directly by missing enemies, at least right now. One of the things that, because a lot of other score systems tend to be what's the word I'm looking for? Like chain systems tend to be a little bit meaner than that. But one of the things I decided on mostly was that given the way that Shootlancer works, yeah, because this command I think is the same as KT's, and that's why that's not accurate. Let me make sure. Let me look at the text and see what's what. Because yeah, that's why it's not accurate. Hold on. There we go. That one's there we go. Should be fixed now. There we go. Much better. All right. Cool. Okay. Cool. So yeah. The way that the score system essentially works in Shootlands is that, or the chain system does rather, is that every time you destroy an enemy or certain special enemy projectiles, you get a bump in your current chain value. When that chain value reaches a certain number, the multiplier that is associated with the score that you get from defeating enemies increases accordingly. Um, it caps out at a times three bonus right now, and you only lose. You basically get your chain directly reset if you miss an enemy, in terms of like letting them go off screen, or if you die. Those are the major ones. With a lot of other shmups, they that have this kind of system. Usually, the thing that you will see and or expect is that not managing to hit enemies for a certain period of time will be what caused it to go downward. Um, because of the fact that enemies in Shootlands, or at least with the way that like waves are sort of formulated right now and everything, uh, you can have large gaps of time where you don't have a lot of stuff on the screen, right? I felt that it was fairer, more to the spirit of what we're doing, to reward being able to consistently nail enemies, make opportunities for making sure that you don't let any of them escape, and that sort of thing. That's what I sort of thought was more appropriate. So yeah, getting hit doesn't really affect it at all. If you die or if you let an enemy slip past you, then it resets. And mostly I've framed it in that particular context because one of the things that is sort of on our minds now is that it's about time for difficulty to really kind of start bumping a little, in terms of, not in terms of like making it like super super, oh, this is absolutely for hang on a second, something's a little different here. Okay, cool. I just need to check one thing. Thank you so much for the follow. Do keep follow alerts anonymous because let's do this one because this is more important. And then results, we want to next stage for here. Then I need to make sure that this one yeah, welcome on to the Gauge Gang, to the new follow. Thank you for following. Deeply appreciate it. There is one thing I need to make sure of that I do correctly, or this is going to be, this is going to wind up hurting a lot. Level manager. Okay, no, it's already here. Okay, which means that for level manager, current stage name is this. Okay. Which means what I want is for this to be staged. Or even just. The thing I love about switch statements is that you can. Hi, Ahmed. Welcome on in. The thing that I love about switch statements like this is that for a switch statement, you can go, hey, if it's either of these two things or as many of these things, do this thing. So this one will cover us for something that I may have to deal with later, depending on the situation. I'm going to come over to the arcade buttons scene real quick and turn off these as well. Because which button layout should show up is dependent on what the dip switch is set to. Okay, let me go and test this. I just read the rules and I noticed something interesting. Why do you prohibit? I genuinely don't know. Because, okay, I'll read the question. I'll post the question, read it out loud, explain it the one time, and then it's a done deal. I just read the rule and I noticed something interesting. Why do I prohibit those emotes? Because weirdo fast people to get over. That's the simple answer. Like, if you don't know, you don't know. But like, basically, weirdo fast people to get over. Even people who use it and don't know, and I get that. But also, it just puts people who are aware of that and the way that it's used as like an alt-right hate symbol puts them on edge. And I would prefer that the people in my community who are understandably like affected by that don't have to deal with that. So the answer is that's why. That's why. Fascists ruined it. Simple answer. So we just don't have it here. I just thought it was funny looking for. I mean, initially, yeah, but that's basically what happened. Fascists ruin everything. Ah. Hold on a second. Something bugged out here. Oh, right. I need to put the post boss state in here because that will keep this thing from being weird. So we're just going to do this, and we're going to just do... Where is it? One of the other things that we may wind up doing also is redoing the way that the tutorial kind of works again. Mostly because there are still things that mostly work in it and things that mostly don't. Um, so if we do this, yeah, there we go. This should be better. HUD, show stage window, object reference not set to an instance of an object. Okay. HUD CS 740. Ah, that's why. Here, it's because we're not counting that as part of the run yet. Let's see here. Greetings from Egypt. Welcome. Let's see. Level manager dot. Hang on a second. I gotta check one thing. Level manager dot stage number is greater than or equal to int internal scene names dot. Hadn't considered that. Ah, this is where we start to run into a problem, isn't it? Okay, I gotta redo a thing here. This is where we run into a problem. Past me, unfortunately, did not anticipate this, so let's... This is some of the less fun part. This is some of like the more boring stuff, but there is a reason for this. Stage clear, stats, text, node. So basically speaking, what happened here is that I didn't account for the fact that the tutorial does not keep track of your gameplay time, and that's on purpose. For all intents and purposes, it is not meant to be counted toward the it's not meant to be counted toward your overall run times and run totals, which means that certain parts of the code made certain assumptions about whether or not you would be doing that if the stage clear window opens up. And okay, let me not overcomplicate this because I'm about to overcomplicate this and make my life miserable, and I don't want to do that. So I'm going to wind back some of the clever thing I'm going to wind back some of what I thought was necessary here and not make my life miserable. I'm going to undo this part, and I'm just going to wind back a couple of these things, and players get to learn about the scoring stuff that is related to this after the tutorial is over. Because otherwise I'm going to have to build up a couple of exceptions on top of exceptions, and let's not do that. That makes my life a lot harder in some aspects, and that's not fun. Okay, so we undid the great and terrible thing I was about to do. Okay, let's see. Alright, I need to fix where the chain level thing shows up in the HUD, because it swaps positions. So we go into the HUD real quick. Gonna crack this open. This needs to go under here because because the score is going to wind up growing outward as people play. So the important thing is to, okay. Oh, that's why, because it automatically goes to that one. No, you automatically go to this one now. So the other major thing is that on the back end, because we are still, at least for a little bit, doing releasing demos to itch, I did go back on the back end and create a system that determines, based on a certain variable that I set, which button layouts to show for the tutorial. So we switched away from at least for this tutorial in game, we have switched away from like actually having like specified specified buttons in terms of like the button image showing up to tell you which one to press, and instead we've primarily done it with the sort of diamond layout that you would see on a controller, because most people will probably be playing with a controller. Of course, you can still use an arcade stick if you really feel like it, but it is not mandatory. Aside from that, we do have a new HUD design that sort of helps condense down the elements, though we're still tweaking it again. For those of you who haven't seen it from before CEO. And then as you see, right, destroying bombs does increase your chain score. And based on how high your chain is, you get multipliers to the scores of the enemies that you defeat. The thing I think I am probably going to do is make it so that the score itself isn't actually tracked, or that it resets after the tutorial, because if you're not tracking times, then it shouldn't track for that either. I think this is a sensible way to do it. heard the music and then it went away. Um, no, the music for the stage happens to be really soft. Um, so it was playing and it was there. It's just that it's soft. And also, when the boss alert comes up, the music does actually literally stop to play the boss alert sound on purpose. There are also like new effects to sort of indicate here we go. And now we gotta figure out. I had a feeling this would happen where it's like I probably messed up at least some of the stuff relating to this. Failed to get property. Okay, you know, it's the same. That's the same thing. But no, the music was there and it was playing. Hold on a second. That said, though, I do need to sort out. Okay. Yeah, I heard it, and then later half. Yeah. It's set to loop, and it just happens to be a very quiet song. So at least based on what I know, it is probably score label equals. Hang on. Okay, so let me do this real quick. We're gonna just do this. So what I'm doing here is fixing that issue with the text that y'all saw show up when I finished the level just a second ago. Hide the score, chain level, and chain text. Ida text nodes. I'm going back and commenting this code so that I remember what it looks like later. That said, though, that means I have to come up here and redo this because now these are being parsed separately. 0, 1, 0, 1. This is 0, 1, 2, 3. You'll see what these are for in a second. Provided that I do this correctly. Or maybe we don't even need the total time yet. We set the total time for the end of the run. Okay, cool. Then we want current best chain. Okay. Then we're gonna say clear menu. I should clean this up a little bit. So basically speaking, what I'm doing is I'm splitting the code that sets up the text. I'm setting up the text that shows up when you finish a level in a format much cleaner and easier to kind of like work with by just stacking in every single time I would like to add some other new thing to it. So now we're going to do, this is clear menu score format. Okay, flow manager. Good. Okay. This one. Shit. Okay, good. Don't even know if I'm gonna need those yarn commands anyway, but let's save that and okay. All right, run it from the top real quick. Yeah, so I can turn the music up. The main thing is mostly that then you can't hear me over the stream, which is why it's as soft as it is. But it's one of those things where we can probably ask Daquan to push it up in the mix if we need to. But also keep in mind that like on stream I deliberately play the music softer than it is so that I don't have to yell over it. Alright, another major change is that we do actually now have, like, aside from the blackout effect that happens when you bomb, aside from the blackout effect that happens when you bomb the screen, which is new now, we also have a thing where you can, like, actually literally skip, yeah, like, watch. I'm gonna turn up the sound here so you can... Oh. Something broke here. Alright. Time to go see what it was. Damn it. I don't know why that broke like that. That's annoying. Alright. Well, that should be fixed now. Okay, let me think here. Right, I need to go fix whatever's going on with the stage 1 boss not actually giving a score value away. That's really annoying. I thought I'd fixed it. Alright, I gotta make sure of a couple of things now. Okay, it was literally only the stage 1 boss that had that problem because, of course, it did. Anyway, that should be fixed now. Let's take this from the top. Thought I fixed that. Words spoken by programmers the world over. Yeah, don't remind me. Ah, actually, nah, Yuna was right. I messed it up. Yuna was right. Um, it looks like I didn't remember to set it to loop. I didn't set it to loop, and that's my fault. Because I was like, no, the music is fine. It should be fine. And then I stopped, and I heard it, and I heard that it stopped, and it didn't start over again, which means it's my fault because I did not set this music to loop. So nope, that's my fault. Didn't imagine that. I messed up and I forgot to make sure that it loops. That's on me. Haha. Anyway, that should not be a problem anymore. Let's try that again. Hey Vinka. And yeah, I do indeed. Alright, let's see. Hold on, I forgot to mix this back a little bit. Yes. To answer your question, Stubby, yes. The stage 1 and stage 2 music specifically is new stuff. The stage 3 music is not. There we go. Much better. Okay. Alright. That didn't quite go the way I would have liked. This is fine. I'm just gonna go over to the HUD and do the thing I didn't want to do. But better that I do it the right way, because apparently trying to format the text like this is just no. So let's see here. Thank you so much for the new follow. I do appreciate it. Again, we do keep our follow alerts anonymous so that people can join and lurk without so that people can join and lurk and not feel obligated to kind of like and not feel obligated to be like, oh, now I got to talk because I've been perceived. But also, welcome on in, armed and armored. Okay, so I'm trying to figure out how to get this to not display, to actually display the way it's supposed to. So let me see here. Okay, so then I should reset this here. Okay, I'm gonna take this to the test stage then to make this a little bit faster. Test stage, over to test stage, and then over here, we're gonna make sure that we do a boss. So we can test it this way. I need to make sure that the actual text values that are showing up in that post window are appropriate. But how are you doing, Armed and Armored? Hopefully you're well. Welcome on in, like I said before. Let me see here. Yeah, for some reason, sometimes you can't shoot the hitbox at all, and I need to diagnose that before the new version goes out. But I think I know what might be causing it. Okay. Why is score still being included in there? What did I do? Okay, I gotta something here is weird. Don't know what it is. Okay, I'm gonna have to do the thing I didn't want to do because um okay. So let's see here. Basically, the issue is essentially speaking that certain aspects of the way that I set this up previously are not agreeing with the way I need this information to display. So now I need to mess with a couple of things in order to get this to work the way I want. So we're just gonna mess around and sort these out again. Let's see. This is stage clear. Stage clear title control node. So the way the Godot works ideally is that they want you to the way that this generally works with Godot is that ideally they want you to, especially if you're working with something like a vertical box container like this, what they would prefer that you do is make sure that each element has a control node. Within that control node, you make sure that the whatever text you're using or what have you is that whatever text you're using has its own title label, obviously, and that you spread it out, and that the control node here is used as the container to hold in the size. So for this one, though, we need to make sure that the layout, the minimum size is at least 100. And we're going to do the same thing with this one here. And now what we need to do is make sure that this is like at least a little bit inward, and then just gotta. Did I change? Let me look at the layout. Yeah, no. God damn it. Hold on a second. Something here is acting weird. I don't like it. Yeah, like none of that nonsense. You're supposed to only be exactly the size of that. Okay, cool. That's 100. So we have the time label margin. Time. This is. Hang on. Let me make sure that I look and actually sort this properly. So stage time, total time gets skipped. Maybe we just keep skipping it altogether because the total time is not relevant until you're at the end of it. And then we don't need new line formats anymore because we're not going to be doing that other stuff. Okay. So stage time and so time one. So this is 1, 2 for this one, and 3 for this one. Okay. So this is results. Results. results chain level, results chain stats label, and then here we do results final score, control, and results final score label, and this is going to be score. Okay, yeah, that should be nice and clean. Now over here in the actual script, I need to close this thing, open up this one, and what we're going to do is stage clear, timer, or time label, stage clear menus, time stat block. And then we just need two more of these. So I'm going to highlight this, hit Control D to duplicate it 2 times. And this is chain label, and then this is final score label. Stage clear menus. Or I should say stage clear total score label. It's not final, total. So we're going to do this one, and now we're going to come over here and we'll make this, we'll just do this real quick. Switch level manager dot stage number. Default break case int. Oh, right. Sorry. I realized Vinkin said a thing and I forgot to respond to it because we were on commercial break. I'm working on game dev stuff too, not Visual though. Another one, a similar one in VX Ace. VX Ace is kind of ass compared to 2K3. It's like a 50-50. Because the thing about, so I never got deep enough into 2K, into RPG Maker 2003 in order to work around some of the more specific stuff. Because I know, for example, the fact that like JoJo's Bizarre Adventure, the 7 stand user, was made in RPG Maker 2K means that if you understand these specific foibles around how to work around the engine, you can wind up making something extremely intricate. I think the main things that like it's complicated, right? Because on the one hand, the main thing is that with XP VX and then VX Ace, you sort of got, especially if you understood how to use Ruby on Rails, you began to get the ability to actually extend it without having to rely on as many like weird engine quirks, but that involves knowing Ruby on Rails. And that's a lot to ask. And I'm also aware of the fact that like to a certain degree, I want to say, yeah, VX Ace relies a lot on the fact that it enables scripts, which takes away a lot of the charm for me. Yeah, I think it's mostly a matter of how do I put it? What's what I'm looking for? Um, the key input processing in VX Ace is gone. Yeah, like there are things. Yeah, I would say that the main thing is mostly that Okay, and then here, stage. I should do it like this. Stage clear time, and then stage clear. Basically, like RP, it's interesting. Yeah, I think what wound up happening. Yeah, I'm liking what I'm making in it. Yeah, like the main flexibility mostly is that with XP, VX, and VX Ace, it became easier in certain aspects. I think to work with your own assets in certain aspects at the cost of a lot of that. Yeah, a lot of that internal functionality becoming like a, oh yeah, go get a script for that sort of thing, which can be difficult to deal with if people who were externally maintaining a thing stopped maintaining the thing. So it's like that's where the complication comes in. I'm liking what I'm making in it. Yeah. For my part, I think a lot about the fact that like um literally if it wasn't for the fact that Unity decided to kind of like absolutely shit the bed, um I feel like RPG Maker Unite really could have had a better chance of. And I'm not gonna front because I understood Unity way better. I was at one point legitimately thinking about getting RPG Maker Unite in order to like actually, because the main thing that sort of kept me from really digging in with like VX, VX Ace, MV, and then MZ is mostly that I don't. Well, okay, with MV and MZ, they went from Ruby on Rails to JavaScript. I don't know JavaScript that well, and I don't enjoy using JavaScript. So that was kind of the limiting factor for me. But with RPG Maker Unite, they basically were like partnering with Unity to do the thing, and that would have given me access to C# stuff, and that I think would have let me actually like work out a couple of things that I would have really been interested in terms of like even making like a small scale RPG. But then Unity kind of shat the bed with the whole licensing debacle. That and it's both. It is literally that RPG Enterbrain literally used Unity as the base for RPG Maker Unite. So, like, if you want to use RPG Maker Unite, it is essentially a Unity. It's like a Unity plugin, basically, where it's very explicitly not like a standalone program, but a hi shiny. It is a plugin for Unity. But like, I'm ideally given a choice, I am not using Unity for personal projects ever again. Or at least not until they could have significantly displayed a change in attitude around the way that they want to like handle things. And I don't know if that's going to be a thing that they do. I do not feel as if I can trust those intentions. So yeah, heck, Unity shitting on their own user base for what? Yeah, chasing microtransaction money. That's really what, when it comes down to it. Even though like John Riccatello isn't the one that's there, it's one of those things where even though John Riccatello isn't there anymore, it's one of the things where like the way that he thinks and and the reason why that's relevant is because he's no longer the CEO there, but he used to work at EA. And for people who have not played a game from EA anytime recently, they very, in this day and age, they have a very hard-earned reputation negative for being really, 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 really into microtransactions. They and the reason why that's relevant, so for people who don't know what the licensing debacle that I'm talking about is, there was a point where Unity changed the terms of its license agreement such that there was a point in which Unity changed its license agreement such that, effectively speaking, they were trying to effectively charge developers for how many people downloaded their game in order for Unity itself to get a cut from those sales. Essentially speaking, it's a situation that was kind of like aiming, in the ideal case for Unity, for them to stand to make big money off of a game that got a ton of downloads. But in practice, it caused a bunch of devs to basically go, hey, what the fuck are you doing? Because the problem then would have been that it's like, all right, if you are a small developer and by some chance your game goes like mega mondo viral, right? Now you're on the hook to pay Unity for the virality of your game because they want a cut of the money. And if you're a small enough studio, you can't like afford what happens if your game gets like Undertale to the moon numbers. Like, you can't afford that. I forgot to set. Damn it. I knew I forgot something. Hold on. This is my fault. In the HUD, after I made those new variables for certain things, I forgot to come over here and actually assign these. So time label, chain. Hang on a second. Results, chain, and then we want results. And this is not final, but total. And eventually they did walk it back, but they took so long to try to, like, quote unquote, clarify what was going on and all that, that in the end, most people weren't. Primarily the people that stayed were the people that were already too deep into development. Yeah, the wording of the change would basically also make things like free demos financially infeasible. Yeah, pretty much, exactly. Because they based it on, like, yeah, if you get, like, it was something like either after X many downloads or per X downloads, you have to pay us this, basically. So essentially speaking, they literally kind of just like, they basically literally shat over their entire own model, specifically just to try to get ahead on that front. And it's like, y'all really didn't have to do that. And so most people that wound up staying with Unity afterward were either people who were like, yeah, downloads, not purchases. That's the key part, yes. In case I got my terminology backward for whatever reason, what Stubby's saying is the main point. That they were literally basing it on the number of downloads. Based on the number of downloads. On the number of purchases, number of downloads. Right? So basically, primarily, the only people that really stuck with Unity after that particular point were people who essentially were kind of like feature locked in by virtue of the fact that, like, they couldn't just switch engines mid-development. You did not get the terminology wrong. I was also just emphasizing the absolute boundary. Appreciate that. I was thinking you can't just switch. Yeah, like as it was, right? The project that Munity was working on, as in Munity, us, this game studio that I helped co-found, right? The thing that we were working on um, prior to, okay, it's just not printing out the time at all, which means I need to figure out why that's the case. Um, yep, exactly. But the main thing is that we were working on a game prior to Shoot Lancer that would have been in Unity. And we basically had to leave that when we switched over to this, mostly because we were like, yeah, um, show stage clear. Oh, damn it. That's why. I forgot to do that. That's why. I'm like, wait, why is it saying that? I literally forgot to do that part because my brain is empty. Um, that should fix the issue that we were having now. Um, okay, let's split this because this text is getting ugly. Because that format was beginning to get ugly. So we can fix this now a little bit. So clear menu. So clear menu total score format. Just do this one, and then this is bonus. But yeah, like you literally, but yeah, because of that, we basically were like, because reasonably, realistically speaking, could we have tried to do that project in Godot? Yes, we could have tried. I don't think it would have been impossible, but the fact of the matter is, I would have been learning a new engine on top of doing something that is the type of game that we had in mind is um, would have been extremely complex even with Unity expertise. So doing that in Godot, absolutely not. Not without like having a better understanding of the engine and how it would have come together and what was going to work. Absolutely not. Um, okay. So we're going to do that. We're going to come over here. I just need to make sure that once this rebuilds, I adjust this one. We want results, your total score, and then this is results, bomb bonus. There we go. Much better. Then I just need to make sure over here that okay. I think I have it this time. I just need to make sure that the formatter label formatting string variables over here. Final score 0 plus 1 is equals 2. Then so free bonus score. Okay. Okay. This should now work correctly. I'm trying to think of the other stuff that kind of has been done. Um, that is a problem related to a ping that I got that I have no say in because I did not have to deal with that. Oh, right, other changes that kind of came up over the course of CEO. A major change that did get done while we were at CEO, if you look at the spin meter over in the lower left corner, it does actually have different colors for when it is emptying out versus when it's full. And you also have a text alert that lets you know over Leona's head, hey, you can spin again. Because one of the major complaints that we got was that people were having trouble, like, it's one of the things that we are still sort of like working on is mostly like screen economy and screen focus in terms of like where you wind up looking. We more or less solved part of the issue we were having where everything was spread out really far by concentrating things to the left and to the center mostly. Yeah, Stubby. I have to be honest in saying that I don't entirely remember where my brain specifically pulled the reference from. I know it did from somewhere because it always does that. Alright, there we go. Gurren Lagann. There we go. There we go. There we go. That's what it was. I'm like, subconsciously, I know it probably came from somewhere, but there we are. Okay, good. And now this works the way that it's supposed to. This is the thing that I wanted it to do. To show you the stage time, the maximum chain that you've gotten for the level, the best chain that you got for the run overall so far, your bomb bonus, and then your final score. And then when you continue, it starts obviously from that score. Oh, right. Another major thing that kind of happened that people who played the game previously might be noticing now. The drop rates for items have also been adjusted by a bit. The basic idea is that, essentially speaking, the old way of determining what drops you would get from defeating enemies was mostly calculated based partially on your health. Is calculated based partially on your health as the identifying factor, followed by a couple of other things that were related to that. No, which down on a what now? Right, the drop. I was talking about the drop tables. So the way that the drop tables work now primarily is much simpler. You have a 60% chance of nothing dropping when you defeat an enemy, a 15% chance of it being a health drop, and a 25% chance of it being, if they have some other power-up to drop that isn't a health power-up, you get that. Also, bombers because bombers as enemies are much more difficult to defeat, their score values have been bumped up to 750. So it's one of those things where, like, now we actually really reward you for managing to get rid of a bomber and not completely beef your and not beef it. The other major change that I made is now basically the game will not trigger into the boss fight until you have cleared out all the enemies that are currently on the screen. That was very much on purpose. That was a complaint that we got, was mostly that, like, oh yeah, enemies are spawning when the alert comes up, and it's like, I cannot see what is going on underneath the alert, and that stinks. Oh, the senior is pretty. That is also because of Yuna. They may have gone to go hide by now, but I'm gonna keep shouting them out because they deserve it. All of the background art stuff, that's all cause of Yuna. They're the one that put that together. And then of course you can still name entry here. And now of course we have this page also. A nice little thanks for playing page, which will show up at the end of the whatever the levels that we have are, and bam. So that is by and large, those are by and large, at least of the changes I can immediately think of, a lot of the major ones. A lot of them were also like, a lot of it was also like behavior adjustment, bullets, player bullets moving faster, all that other stuff. But yeah, essentially speaking, those are like a lot of the major changes insofar as the game itself is concerned. The demo that will be going up on itch is going to basically have all the features that I've shown here. And then from there are a couple other things on the back end that I will start today, which means that what I should do, I need to basically make the build. I have to test this build a couple more times and make sure that everything runs and works properly the way it's supposed to before I build it, because okay, hold on. Why did that get upsetty? Something about that was acting funny, wasn't it? Okay, hold on a second. Because it didn't crash the game, but I don't like that error. It makes me a little nervous. That particular error makes me a little nervous because it implies that at some point the chain level was overcapping a little bit, which is not ideal. Okay, actually, let's just do it like this. we're just gonna keep this simple. I guess technically speaking, the HUD may not be, shouldn't technically be responsible for keeping track of the score, but I've kind of already done it. So if this is a crime, then a crime it is. And then we're gonna do public constant max chain level. So, this part's important, and I'm putting it here so that I don't forget this. So, and the reason why I'm making a note of it like this on purpose is so that when I look at this, right, these words must begin with uppercase. No, I'm writing this like I'm writing C sharp. Leave me alone. Um, it's a naming rule violation as far as like Godot is concerned, I think, but I don't. It's a suggestion and not like something mandatory. I don't think. IDE 1006 is what. I think it might be like a Godot related naming style thing, which is why it's like yelling at me about it. But I'm going to ignore that because at least the way that I generally write code, if you're doing normal variables, you start with a lowercase button. You start with a lowercase letter. Uh, if you're doing static variables, then you start with a capital. And then if you're doing consts, you do all caps. That's that's me personally. Um, that's how I feel about it personally. And that's kind of the way I prefer to do it. Um, okay, I think this should be relatively more under control now. I think the only other thing I want to do, there are like two other things I want to do, and I think I'm going to go do them very quickly. Um, the first thing I think I want to do is to make sure that score is so one of the things I'm going to work on real quick that I know should be relatively easy to do without causing everything to go to hell. Very simple. If level manager dot stage number is greater than or equal to int internal uh, internal scene dot stage one. Well, actually, I should take this code and put it in the other part. we're not even doing turning as far as these nodes are concerned, so that isn't helpful. That can go away for right now. So can that. Okay, I gotta do it in defeated state then. Let's defeated. So over here in the defeated state, we're gonna do this here. So the reason why I'm doing this so I'm changing this a little bit because it was a thing that occurred to me previously, which is that there are some people who may want to skip the tutorial. Um, there are some people who may want to skip the tutorial, and I acknowledge that. So I'm getting ready to set up the ability to skip through the tutorial if it is absolutely desired. Um, and part of that is because of that, I do not want skipping the tutorial to impact your ability to get a score, to get a to miss out on scoring points. So first, we're going to make sure that scoring stuff only happens if we're not in the tutorial, right? Okay. So we don't do that. And there's one other thing I need to do. I need to make sure that I have found the place where okay. Ah, see, and I already would have messed this up. Um, I think anyway. All right, make explosion if already dead. Okay. Let's just do it like this. Because this way I have a little more control over certain things. I'll explain why this is the case in a second. And here what we're going to do just to make sure of this is get protected set. This is a personal thing. For me personally, this is a personal thing about the way that I sometimes want to do these sorts of things. There are occasions where you want to make sure that you know exactly what and exactly when a certain thing is being changed, right? Whether it's a variable value or whatever else. So sometimes, right, it's perfectly fine to just say, okay, variable is this plus this as just like a raw code string, right? Something like this, for example, where it's like, all right, okay, adding to the kill chain, we're just going to make sure that the instance current kill chain is increased by 1. Sometimes this is fine, and you don't have to like think too hard about it. But there are times where you may have multiple scripts that may want to change the value of a variable in some aspect or whatever, and you want to be able to be sure that if something goes wrong, you know exactly where in the code, or even if you forgot where in the code, you have an easier time tracing down exactly the spot where that happened, right? So in this case, here's how we're going to do this. Public static void increase score int new value, and very simply we're going to say score plus equals new value, right? So here it is perfectly fine to say, okay, let this be like just the raw increase of the score. And I can just say, for example, for summary, increases the score, the value to add to the score. Okay, we have an ad break. So I'm going to wait for the ad break to finish before I keep explaining what's going on. So for those of you that are not in ads hell, please enjoy the comedy stylings of my AFK screen while we wait for ads to finish. All right. Be back in a little because I also need to go get some water or something to drink at least. So, be back in a bit. 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and action.
Henty!
The jump to the sky turns to a rider kick.
There's only one person who can stop, and that's me.
Hey everybody, my name is Sean. They call me either that or SJ. As I say on my own channel, make games, I play games. Games make do, basically. Did you really think that I was going to let you hit me with that? No.
Guess what? I'm still alive, motherfucker.
Going too fast is no good.
Shut the fuck up. What else you got? I have to hit button. Button hit good. This no count, no good, self-absorbed. Giving free turns goes against my professional ethics. I saved your ass! Yo, the nerve of this motherfucker. The absolute gall. The complete stinkiness.
Do you see these motherfuckers? They stole all my shit!
Fuck out of here. Fuck you. I don't give a fuck now. Stank ass, punk ass, smelly ass motherfucker.
Yo! Not with the deep cut. My brain is full of eels.
Anyway, so, Fuck. We should just play this fucking video game.
Damn it! That's not fair. No, that's fighting dirty. You can't do that.
Just because it's correct doesn't mean it's right. Just for that, I'll teach y'all to talk to me about the consequences of my own actions. And now, this poll that I'm not gonna look at the results of yet, I'm lying, I'm gonna look right now. Jesus fuck! Why are y'all like this?
What was the reason?
This is all according to my calculations. We will probably be fine. God damn it. Can somebody clip that?
Going too fast is no good. You facetious motherfuckers!
You really are gonna stand up in front of God and everybody. Oh my fucking God! No! No! I can't fucking stand you. How dare you? How very dare you? You right, but shut up. Give me a church. I told y'all I was gonna get a church, and I got a church. Apris above be praised. Amen. Amen. Hallelujah. And peanut butter. Praise be to Lord R.N. Jesus. For in our time of need, he has provided. Can I get a blessings to R.N. Jesus in the chat? I have to behave. I have to behave. I have to behave. I have to behave. You know what? I'm just gonna do this.
What kind of just nonsense did you just... What in the hell do you mean? You put me on your whole motherfucking screen?
They're all gonna die. Somebody clip that. Oh no. Not again.
Y'all do what I think y'all did?
Y'all can't bully me like this. Y'all got me all kinds of twists turned up right now. I don't know what the...
I applaud you, but also, god fucking damn it.
I would just be like... Fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. It's fine. I should be fine. Fuck all of you. No! No! No!
That's not how this works. I am the danger.
Oh yeah! I'll respond to that, but fuck! That's shit! Fuck! That's all I have to say in response, you know? If you are into fighting games, JRPGs, game design talk, and all that other kind of stuff, please feel free to follow me over at twitch.tv/SJH Says Games. I can't fucking stand y'all.
Okay, normally I'd let the whole thing play out, but I am aware that I am not on like a time crunch necessarily, but that I want to make sure I am avoiding what's it called? That I'm avoiding missing things. Right. So, the thing I was saying before the ad break came up. So the reason why I have this particular setup now, right? So let's say, for the purposes of argument, right? That whenever the score increases, not only do I want to increase the actual score value, let's say that maybe I want to like have some other special visual effect that comes up, right? One other thing I want to do here, we're just going to say you can just do it up here. And then over here, we can just do this and then actually, come to think of it, I wonder. No, let me not break that before a major change, because I feel like I want to have a better way of doing this. But I can't think of one. Okay. Hold on. Okay. I guess there's maybe one other way I could do this, right? Public pool is actual stage, get, return, basically this, right? Are we in an actual stage right now? Because now what I can do is over here, I can do level manager dot is, hang on a second, level manager, I need this to be a static pool, is actual stage. So basically speaking, right, this is one of those things where technically speaking, I could have left the code the way that it is and it's fine. But sometimes, at least for me, giving things very specific variable names helps me recall why it is I did particular logic, right? So in this case, I can do is actual stage, right? Yeah, and that already handles that, right? And what I can also do over here is region signals. Let's just do signal public delegate void game started signal signal. I'm just doing a little bit of code cleanup. I have forgotten how to do signal names because my brain is empty, which is not ideal. Hang on a second, I gotta double check. Public delegate void. Game started. Okay, right. Public delegate void that. Basically, I'm just cleaning up a couple of little code function things before I forget. Though it seems that, unfortunately, I have forgotten something insofar as how do signals work in Godot. Which is a little annoying, but I'll remember the way that this was supposed to work in a second. Yeah, this isn't being used, so we can remove that. That's not helpful. Signal. Public delegate void. Okay, so game state. Oh, that's why I messed up. I messed up the way that was written, I think. Yeah, there we go. That's fixed. And now over here in the HUD. We're gonna do game state dot underscore play dot connect the signal for game starting a level to showing the timer labels. So ideally, right, the way that Godot generally prefers for you to do a lot of the things that you do, ideally, the way that Godot prefers for you to do, this way of like letting events in your game know what is going on, prefers signals like this. So I made a signal in this GameState.play instant, in this GameState.play code that says, when the game starts, emit a signal called game started. When that signal is emitted, then we want to show the timer labels. This is a way of just making sure that like This is just a way of making sure that, like, I love Godot being translated as the dough. Oh yeah, probably because I am either mumbling or not speaking clearly enough into the microphone. Okay, cool. So yeah, basically I've done all of these things this particular way so that it is easier for me to. I was saying this earlier about the increased score. For example, if there's ever a situation in which I know I want to increase the score of other items, I now have the ability to do that much more easily than I did before, in terms of like knowing, okay, right, all I have to do now is throw down this increased score wherever I want to go do that, right? And any other effects that are also associated with increasing the score will all get handled without me having to like necessarily add in a bunch of extra code in a bunch of extra spots. Functions, I've said this before on this channel, but functions are really good for code that you can reuse a lot. And that is kind of the important thing, right? I guess I could put spread and shot back on there, but that feels redundant at this point, so I'm just gonna leave them hidden for right now. Bomb bonus score. I think there's one thing I wanted to check with this real quick, because something has been bothering me this whole time. That's why. No, you don't have, when you reset, you don't have a value. You don't do that. So actually, let me just manage animations, throw this out. Yes, you don't have a reset track. Because I was wondering why the bullets were briefly flashing a blue color beforehand, and that was why. It's like, oh, it's because there was a reset in there that shouldn't have been there. All right, let's take a look here. Okay, hold on a second. For some reason, it stopped showing that. So, hold on. There you go. Oh, damn it. That's why I hid that, because I need to delete that. I'm like, why was I'm like, why did the old one show up? It's like, because I hid it instead of deleting it. All right, let's go back to the let's go back over to here and make sure that this is working correctly with all the stuff that I was hiding. All the code that I actually just added. All right, gotta hide the chain level text also. I gotta hide the chain. I forgot I have to hide the chain level stuff also. HUD. You need to be back over here, please. Yes. Okay. Where is it? In the HUD. Let me see something. Score penalty, that's fine. Score calculation, we don't need that. Okay. Ready is fine. Process is over here. And then chain level label dot visible equals kill chain level dot visible, which is also false. Okay, good. So behind the scenes, it'll still be doing all that processing. It's just that we won't be able to see any of it while this is going. And now I'm finally getting an error that somebody... Yeah, so it's not showing up as like a debug issue, but we're not moving on from firing tutorial, which means okay. So we need to see if this logic is even happening. This isn't it. This is a bug that was literally only this never happening to me when I was running it, but was happening specifically to KT whenever she was trying to build the game on her end. Okay, so then what? Oh. Oh. That's why. I know why. I know why. It's because of something I did. So, if we come and look over... Hang on a second. It's in the defeated state, actually. Enemy state defeated. It's over here. This is where it is. This is why. I messed that up. This needs to be out here. So basically speaking, what happened was, you see this thing that says queue free here, right? Queue free is basically what you say to Godot to go, hey, so here's the way that this works, right? Queue free is a function that you send to Godot when you're like, hey, I need this node in Godot to get rid of itself on the next frame that it is feasible for it to do so. The problem is that I shoved it inside of this code that checks if the level manager is an actual stage. And the reason why that's an issue is because by doing that, I was effectively keeping the enemies invisible and in the scene even after destroying them, which is not what I wanted, which is why it wasn't moving on to the next thing. Oh, whoops, hold on a second. I also went a little bit too far. So this here, right, plays... So really what I need to do is rename this function, actually, because it is not really accurate to what's happening here. This is on animation finished. And then over here, I should make sure that in the... What I should do here is, because I went and changed... So this, I need to go change one thing now. Well, there are two things I should change, I think. We're going to do export animation player anim player. And here's what I'm going to do. Public override. Ready? We're going to do base ready, and then we're going to say anim player dot animation finished plus equals on animation finished. And the reason why we're going to all of this trouble is and I should say very specifically, main anim player. The main animation actually, I want to see something. Okay, no. So then I can do this. Actually, I can just do main anim player is equal to that. I don't, oh no. I need to keep this, but I don't need to export it anymore. Or better yet, I can really just do this and then get rid of this. Now I don't need that variable. Sometimes it helps to just not have to make new variables all the time. Very, very helpful for that. Let me see if there's anything else that references this that I should be worried about. And now what I can do, I need to go over to base enemy and do one particular thing. Animation player. Okay, good. Drone. I want to check one thing real quick because yeah. Let's disconnect that one. And we're going to, for the trooper, do the same thing because we basically are already handling that with code. So we're going to disconnect some of these. So drone, trooper, scout, animation player, defeated state, disconnect. So the reason why we're disconnecting all of these is mostly because I just put that functionality for checking that into code. So drone, trooper, scout, tank. So the thing that I like about Godot is that you can, these signals are, like I said, how you connect certain events to other events. In my case, I'm choosing to do this particular one in code because I renamed that function to more accurately represent what it represents, which is any animation finishing and not just one, or not specific one. So the tank bomber needs the same thing in the main animation player. We're going to remove that one and then stage. Well, I'm gonna double check it here because I need to make sure of a couple of things, right? Okay, so a couple other things I need to check. So for stage 1 boss, I need to go and look very carefully and go check to make sure that this is okay. Nope, it's using the same basic state. So I can remove it here safely. The main reason why I had to stop and check was just to see and just to be sure that there was not any unique behavior for the stage 2 boss being defeated or the stage 3 boss being defeated that required those signals to stay. That does not seem to be the case, but I'm going to stop and double check and make sure every time anyway, because assuming is a really, really easy way to get your shit absolutely pushed in situations like this. And I would prefer to not be in that situation. You feel me? It's not a fun time. Okay, so all of that is good. Though that said, So rather than modulate, what I want to do here is this one's going to be a little bit more obnoxious, actually, because it'll help make it a little bit less annoying in terms of the way that this color works. So y'all are going to have to forgive me. I'm going to be animating a blinking animation the old-fashioned way. We're going to grab these, and we're going to come over to this spot. Copy the keys here. Paste the keys here. Paste the keys here. Then we're just going to copy this one key here. Paste it here, and then we're going to get rid of the modulate one up here. We don't need it to do that much because it's not going to be invincible for that long. What did I put Leonis to? Let's match it to that. Layer.tscn. How long did I do Leona's damage flash? Damage flash, and was that effect animation damage flash? At 60 FPS, it was 6. And it loops. Okay. So 6 and it loops. Got it. So here, no, stage 3 boss first. Into the animation flash. We're just gonna do, so first of all, we're gonna rename it because it's not invincibility, it's damage. For Leona, it is invincibility, but for the bosses, it's damage. They're not invincible for that time frame. So 60 FPS, we're gonna shorten that to 6. Your position is 3, and we loop you. And then damage flash end. We're just gonna come over to your sprite 2D. We're gonna turn your visibility on and keyframe that, and then remove the modulate. And then the reset. Yeah, sometimes the old-fashioned ways are the good enough fashioned ways. We're going to do the same thing with the stage 2 boss. Modulate is not the thing that we're concerned about. What we care about is sprite 2D, visibility, visible on, and the reset. Hit. So the frame stuff is fine. The frame stuff is fine. We don't want to change that. What we do want to do, though, is about halfway through it, or rather, what we're going to want to do is make sure that she's visible on the last frame. So we're going to put a visible over here on the last frame, whatever we do. We're going to go a couple of frame. I need this in FPS. So 8. So This one's at 7, and this one's at 0. So that means, oh wait, no, this is the wrong spot to put it. Wrong spot to put it. Wrong spot to put it. I'm silly and I wasn't paying attention to which. So here, it goes over here. This is why they're separated. I separated them on purpose because the important thing is that I separated them into 2 different nodes on purpose so that for the damage flash, so that it would be easier to control the way that this works for other purposes. So we can like loop and flash as much as it needs to. So 0, 1, 2, 3. Okay. I wasn't paying attention to where I was putting that, and that would have been awkward. And then when damage flash ends, it's that. Okay, sprite to the mix percent. Let's put that back to 0 for right now, anyway, because that's not important. So what's going to happen is that, like, basically she'll be playing this animation separately from the damage animation flash. And now the main stage 3 boss is covered. So stage 1 boss. Then go to the health node. We're going to do, again, this is damage animation flash. Damage flash end. We want the visibility to be true. So I'm going to come over here and keyframe that. I'm going to keyframe that so that that's notable there. Effect animation damage flash. Again, we're going to switch this to that. This is 6. Throw out this one, and we're going to say visibility is on here, and over here it's off. It's off. We keyframe that. We don't want it to ping pong. We want it to loop. Let me stop. Well, let me make sure that. Okay, yeah, 60 FPS. Okay, cool. All right. And then for the stage 1 boss, for the sprite 2D, yeah, the mix percentage on that. Let's mix that down. Okay. There's one other thing I want to sit down and sort out real quick. There's one. Okay, so let's. There are a couple of things that are going to be related to this that I need to be very careful about extracting. First of all, we're going to call this damage link timer because that's really what it is. Cannot rename this element. Okay. Because I think I gotta rip this out. I gotta rip some of this out because the damage invul stuff is causing some other issues here. So I'm going to sit down and rip some of this out because it's causing some consistency issues with other things that we need to get sorted out. So this is damage blink timer started. Damage blink timer. So Leona has a little bit of a grace period on this because she's the player, so she's allowed to have a little bit of that. I think Leona is the only. So I'm also going to just yank a thing real quick with set invul because Leona is the only entity that should have access to that, I think. Actual invulnerability, I think, is supposed to probably only. Well, no. I'm going to leave it in, but I'm going to remove it from the base. I'm going to remove it from the base class so that very specifically, I know specifically. No, I'll leave it for right now, and I'll just make sure that the other that things are just named accordingly so that it's not so not so obvious. So is invul fine. Use invul should be set to false by default, I think, right? Yeah. Okay. Let's just make my life a lot easier and just place it all in the current project. And then here we're going to do this instead. That should have cleared all of them out. Okay, good. Okay, yeah, Leona's already has that as an override. Okay. Okay. Okay, much better. I think. Why is that saying still invincibility animation flash? Where that's not being set up here, is it? Oh, that's awkward. Hold on. This is awkward. Why does this health node still have... Okay, that's why. So let's correct this over here. So sprite 2D, hang on, damage flash and sprite 2D visibility. Yeah, this is the way we want it. We don't want to mess with the modulate. That's not what we care about here. Okay, FPS, this is 6. Want it to loop. Visible off here, visible on here, and then throw out the modulate because we don't need that. Okay. Bomber. Damage animation flash. Yep, I saw that one. I was looking over at I was looking at my screen for a little bit and I saw that one. I will be giving them congratulations. I will be giving them congratulations when I go peep in on PT stream in a bit. Let's see. Okay, cool. Okay, awesome. That other thing is taken care of, so I don't have to worry about doing the... I don't have to worry about doing that particular thing tonight because that has already been handled. And I am grateful for that because I'm probably going to be late because I want to make sure that I mostly have this behavior sorted out the way that I would like to have it sorted out. Okay, so the blinking should be okay now. I'm afraid like I broke... okay, I just need to rename a couple of things. So health node, this is damage blink timer. And then that can stay that value, but that's damage blink timer on invul timer timeout. I want to rename that because that's not what this is. On invul timer timeout. Nope, this is on damage blink timeout. And over here at the start, we're going to do... Oh, okay, no. We're going to leave these two alone. If use invul, then we're going to do that. And now we're going to do damage blink timer dot timeout plus equals on damage blink timeout. And then we're going to go disconnect that signal over here because this is something that I want to make sure we are not messing with. So health node, that's that. Cool. This is damage. This is damage blink flash. Okay. Let's take her from the top and run her through. Okay, one more thing, I think. Stage 0 arcade. Tutorial state base arcade. I'm gonna come over here. There is... Dang it, ads. Okay, while ads are going, I'm still gonna keep doing this thing because there's a thing I need to make sure that I'm taking care of. public override update state. We're going to do protected double do protected double skip held time. Okay, for this I have to do one thing. Project settings, input map. I'm going to hide this one, and I'm just going to put in something for we're going to do tutorial skip. Cool. And then you can't map this one. Just going to do Q here, and then joypad. Joypad button. Yeah, we'll just do that one. Okay. And then I just need to go over to my enum collection real quick. And we're just going to add another one over here, call it tutorial skip. If input dot action we're going to do skip held time plus equals delta. And then if skip held time is greater than max skip hold time, we're going to do transition rect. I can't scene scene manager dot. Hang on a second. I need to make sure that I don't. Okay, so I can do, I think now what I can do is a nice little trick here. We'll do public void go to stage scene, and then we're going to do internal because what I want to do is make sure that we do path. So string path equals scenes stages here, we're going to do go to stage scene, internal scene, stage 1. Okay, so I want to just make sure that this works first. And then I'll tweak the rest of it I'll tweak the rest of it off stream, but I want to make sure this works. Okay. Come on. Work with me here. Work with me here. Work with me here. Just need to make sure this works. And then God damn it. Okay, hold on. I messed up something real quick. I gotta check the inspector. That's you. Okay. Cool. Luckily, that should fix it for all of the things that have health nodes, which is why Godot is very insistent upon packaging certain things into nodes in and of themselves so that it's easier for you to fix things that don't do the things that they're supposed to do a lot without as much trouble. Okay, hold on a second. Why is this getting all weird? What is going on? Okay, that was nice. That was very, very cool. That was extremely cool for everything to kind of explode on me when I needed it to not do that. Okay. Okay. So I also need to go and fix the rest of the tutorial states because as it turns out, past me decided to make my life difficult and may have taken out some code that would have made this thing work unless he only did it for literally one of these things. I only did it for the first one because apparently my brain is empty but up to a point. Yeah, it was literally only that one. That's cool. All right, let's try this again. Okay, good. Good. There's just one other thing that I actually need to. This is what I really should actually do. In tutorial state base arcade, what I should do is that we should do end tutorial actually, because then this will. Okay, then that means I never needed to do that other thing in the scene. I'll keep it anyway in case I need it, but Good. Okay, so skipping it works now. Excellent. Um, cool. Very cool. It does the thing it's supposed to do. So over here, I'm just going to add um, so we're just going to do this. I'm going to put this up here. I'm um, going to put it center. I am going to do this. And then we're going to add a theme to it. And then on that theme, we are going to do the 72 px, well, 48 px probably. 48 px override, so it's nice and big. Then over here, we are going to do no, we'll do a cool 1000. And then we're going to put a nice one. And this is explicitly only for demo mode stuff. So I should put this, or at some point there will be a point at which this does exist in the actual arcade machine. For right this second, I'm making it exclusive to the demo that's being released so that people, if they really absolutely just cannot stand it, then we can do that. Diff switch manager dot is dot instance dot is arcade mode is false. And then we're just going to do a export progress bar, skip progress bar. And then we're going to do skip progress bar dot value is equal to skip held time divided by max skip hold time. And then all I really have to do is over here, I just need to put in a progress bar. Max value is 1. The step is all that other stuff. Skip bar. No, I need to change it. Change type. This is texture progress bar. That's what I need. Cool. Textures. Quick load. I just need blank sprite for that. The tints are fine. Value is 1. You come here. Okay, so then why now the real question is why am I not seeing anything show? Transform is 330. Okay. Okay, min value is that, max value is that. Okay. Oh, right. Y'all don't need that anymore. Get out of here with that. The node for the arcade buttons. The animation player to animate this prompt to animate this states prompts. Okay. All right. Try that again. The things I do to allow people convenience. I am far too kind. Um, okay, skip bar, good. Now, the only thing I need to figure out is why isn't this filling up? This is the part that is slightly annoying me a little bit because they're quick load, blank sprite. Oh, that's why. Because I didn't put on 9 patch stretch. That's why. Everything's fine. It was like, why isn't it showing up? It's like you didn't put on the stretch, so it's not going to show up. Okay, good. And then, nope, 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 nope. I just need, come here. Give me this one real quick. Let me get in there. What? No. Okay, now this is the part where the autocorrect or like is trying to anticipate things I didn't need, which is annoying. Um, and we're just gonna do this over here because either which way, if we are in arcade mode, there's probably going to be a different. Probably there's going to be a different way that we wire this up so that it registers that whole thing. But I'm gonna save that for. I gotta talk with KT about which button to use for that, and to make sure that we wire everything back and correctly and a bunch of other stuff first. So good. Okay, that works exactly the way it's supposed to. So now let's just make the skip time much shorter. I just wanted to make sure that that worked correctly. Um, I guess I could also just do it over here in this, couldn't I? Hang on. Yeah, it makes more sense to do it over there. So what I'm actually going to do is I'm going to take these, cut these, and put them into the level manager, and we're just going to do it in public override process. And there's going to be a couple of extra little doodads that we do to make sure that this is going to be compliant. Yes, you're going to be angry about all of these things, and that's fine. Okay, so over here in the level manager, we're going to do this, we're going to do this. Nope. No, it doesn't make sense to do it there, actually. Never mind. I am full of shit. I thought that that was a good idea. No, it wasn't. I had it fine the way I did the first time. See, when you start tweaking your code when it was working perfectly fine in ways that you weren't before, that is usually your sign to, like, that means that you're thinking too hard about it, usually. So what I can do really is I can just leave this here, and I can do public override process, make sure it does that stuff, and then do this. Because what this should do when I put it over here in process instead of an update state, this means that the moment you get in, if you're just like, whatever, I'm not feeling this, right, you can just hold it and skip immediately, right? And there you go. Nice and clean. Okay, so that should be good enough for now, I think. I'm gonna run a couple of tests off stream just to make sure that everything is good so that I can make this build, lock it in, and leave it alone and let that be the build that goes up on itch. I just need to test a couple things first because I can't do any other changes to the game that are related to getting toward next events until I lock this build down so that this is the build that goes out so that I can make changes without having to go like, oh, I have to revert them. So thank y'all for hanging out. Deeply appreciate it. Yeah. Game analysis design articles are over at my NeoCities, though I am thinking about switching over to a WordPress blog because I don't dislike NeoCities, but like actively maintaining blog work is like a pain when you have to like manually write the HTML yourself. I'm finding that I don't like it, and it's putting an obstacle between me and writing the things that I want to write, because then I have to sit down and like futz with HTML formatting and a whole bunch of other stuff. And it's just like big exhaustion. So there's that. Stream VODs are up on my YouTube. Ko-Fi, if you want to support me in the stream but don't want to give money to Amazon and Jeff Bezos, that's the way that you do that. I much prefer monthly subs on Ko-Fi over Twitch subs, mostly because I not only get the money more immediately, I also keep more of it. Twitch takes like a 50% cut out of every sub that I make. So I don't really like push super hard for like, oh yeah, I want to get like sub goals and stuff on Twitch, because I would need many more subscribers than I have in order to like actually make any kind of turn on Twitch payouts. So I prefer Ko-Fi for monthly if that's the thing that you want to do. Throne, I have I have various gifts up there that you can help purchase anonymously if you so feel inclined to. And then my card has all my other social media links on it, but basically I mostly only use Blue Sky at this point. Munity, if you want to join us and see what's up, info about our website is over at about what we do and stuff is over at munity.games. Our Patreon, if you has a free tier and a paid tier, you can join the free tier and get access to our Discord, get updates on when I'm streaming, when KT is streaming, get information about when like Shootlancer updates drop and things like that. Shootlancer updates themselves will go over onto our itch page. Eventually, once we have polished up to a certain point, we will do a hard cut on how many more updates we do for the demo, just because we want to make sure that when we are like pitching to arcades that they're assured that they get the full experience. So keep that in mind as we kind of go along. And last but not least, if you want to hang out with us when stream's not on and up, I don't have a Discord this stream community personally doesn't have a Discord. We do have a Guilded. You can join at that link over there. You do need a Roblox account in order to join. But a lot of the features that Guilded has for free, Discord makes you pay for. And that's one of the reasons why we use Guilded instead. So yeah, all that said, all that done, deeply appreciate y'all. I'm gonna deuce out, but let me figure out who we're gonna go hang out with. We are gonna raid somebody. I just don't know who yet. I have been off for a week, which means that I should push and adjust my usual list of people we've raided a little bit, because we haven't raided people in a while. So I was gone for 2 days, so let's push 2 people off the list. The bottom 2 people off the list come off the list. So let's see. So Dave, Kesa, and Jay are all off the list. Because we've gone to visit them recently. I know who we're going to go see. We're going to go hang out with Ryudo. So Ryudo is a variety streamer who does like, damn it, they're leaving. Never mind, can't go to Ryudo. Lol, psych, psych, psych. I was on too long. They're deucing out. We can't go hang out with them because they're already leaving. I'm screaming. All right, plan B. We're going to go hang out with my friend T5. I've known them for a hot minute. They're pretty chill. Right now, they are playing... they're doing a run through of Gex 2 and Gex 3. So right now they're doing Gex Enter the Gecko, and we'll later follow that up with Gex 3 Deep Cover Gecko. So we're going to go hang out with T5 while they do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 SD. That's our raid message. SH's raids. Let them know who sent you. Throw in your favorite emotes. They don't have to be my emotes. Do whatever you feel. Keep it appropriate. Don't be weird. Stay safe. Wash your hands. Wear a mask. If you go outside, please. Be excellent to each other, but not to bigots, racists, TERFs, sexists, anti-queer folks, or fascists. Remember, Black Lives Matter. Trans rights are human rights. Reproductive rights are human rights. Pride was a riot. Palestine, Sudan, the Congo, New Caledonia, Haiti must all be free. None of us are free till we're all free. Look out for each other. You don't have to do big things to be looking out for other people. Just the things that you can do in the places where you can, more than enough. All right, y'all. Thank you. Appreciate y'all hanging out with me. Please look forward to Shootlancer getting its next update. Basically, ideally by the end of the week is what I'm shooting for. All right, y'all. I'll catch you later. Enjoy your time with T5. Deuces.